Hi, we are back at the Silicon Slopes Tech Summit. I'm Liz Hawker, and I am sitting here with Attorney General of the state of Utah, Sean Reyes. General Reyes, welcome.
Thank you, Liz. It's awesome to be here with you.
We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your background. You have sort of an unusual background for an Attorney General. I'd love to learn all about that.
A little bit of a unicorn in the political space, especially amongst regulators. As state AG, I enforce the laws for the state and often work with other state AGs around the nation to enforce laws, many which impact the business community. One of our prime goals is to protect the consumer population, protect other businesses, make sure that the market is a level playing field. So all of those things kind of roll in. For me personally though, before I was doing this job in government, I was running a venture fund and we had a lot of tech focus. Prior to that, I was general counsel for a tech company. Before that, I was outside counsel for 15 years for a lot of early Utah technology companies like Novell, and those companies that created WordPerfect and a lot of the early energy that started to develop here in the Valley decades ago. So I've kind of seen the entire evolution of that. And now in my current role, I have the privilege and responsibility, it's a big responsibility, to make sure we find that balance between enforcing the law, protecting consumers and citizens and businesses, and also making sure that as a government that we don't get too much in the way of businesses and we allow innovators to do what they do best, to innovate, and founders to create businesses and businesses to create jobs. And all of that, it's a balance sometimes, trying to find and calibrate that line.
I bet it's constant. But I do really like the fact that you've got this incredible tech background and a real familiarity with the tech community here. Now, you're here at Silicon Slopes. Tell me a little bit about why you're here, of all places, today.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me mention one other thing, Liz, because I think it's important too, especially as we look nationally at a lot of laws that are being passed that impact the tech community directly, whether it's blockchain, AI, whether it's IoT, UAVs, there are so many different things coming. And one of the things that I work the hardest for, along with Silicon Slopes, and they've been great about supporting this, is to make sure that laws that are passed actually can keep pace with innovation. Too often laws that we pass in government lag so far behind that by the time that they're instituted, they're anachronisms, they're antiquated and old. And then we as law enforcement have to try to enforce laws that are already behind the curve. So we're trying to educate more, and that's why this is such an important conference, because they're not just entrepreneurs, they're not just investors who are here, they're not just founders and superstars like Tim Cook from the technology community. There are a lot of government officials here learning more and more that blockchain isn't just crypto, which isn't just Bitcoin, which isn't Silk Road. Any technology can be abused. We understand that. And I often call these innovators in the technology space modern day titans, like the Prometheans of our time, those who would go and bring fire down to mankind and help better our lives in so many different ways. Fire is awesome, it was incredible, it brought us out of the dark ages. It can also be used in negative ways to hurt people, for war and destruction. Technology is similar, and I really want my colleagues in government to realize that yes, we need to protect from abuses of technology, but more often than not, technology is increasing, bettering our lives, the quality of our lives, and the way that we interact, and can actually help protect us from other abuses even more. So one of the reasons I'm here at Slopes, as we call it here colloquially, this tech summit, is to help bring other thought leaders and government leaders in to make sure that they appreciate what's going on in this ecosystem. For those of us who are techies and in the tech space, I think we get that and it's intuitive. But for many who aren't, it's something foreign, they're afraid of it, and they would tend to pass laws or enforce it in a way to, it's easier to just kill something or to shut it down if you don't understand it. So that's one of the many reasons why I'm excited to be here and participate. I've had a chance to speak at a number of these Silicon Slopes events and bring guests in. They gave me a break this year so I can do cool, fun things like this interview.
We're so glad you are. You know, and I love the fact that you are you're tying innovation to new laws and regulations and trying to keep up with all the incredible technology that's coming out. And you know, we're seeing such an amazing group of companies flowing through this building this week. And so, you know, tell me why you feel like there's so many, you know, many great technology companies in Utah, and why are we getting so many unicorns out of Utah?
Great question. Yeah, you hit it right on the nose. I think there are more unicorns per capita here in Utah than any other state in the union. Why is that? Lots of levels. Utah was founded as a pioneering state. You know, Utah has always felt this need to try to lead, but to do it the right way, to do it with a conscience, to do it with social impact. And you look at the projects and the initiatives from even the settlers and the founders of the territory of Utah, and there was a lot of cultural impact, and there was a lot of taking care of each other and supporting each other and volunteerism. And in terms of investment, why are so many people coming? I think that's one of the reasons why that Slopes is becoming a global conference that people are wanting to attend because they've realized that there's something magical happening in Utah. You have a highly educated workforce who by and large, again, are hardworking, family-oriented folks who just want to make an impact and do good in the world. You have a sense of entrepreneurism and inventiveness and curiosity that really has permeated the whole history of the state. You combine that with some real great leaders that we've had and innovators, and I think since the time that I was in the space of investment and building companies, you know, just about a decade ago, I've seen exponential growth. The more people hear about what's going on in the story of Utah, the more they want to invest, the more they want to build here, the more they want to relocate their headquarters here. It's clean, safe environment, relatively low taxes, relatively low energy costs. And so if you're looking for putting a manufacturing plant or a call sales center, or like Goldman Sachs, your second largest, next to your headquarters business unit, there are lots of reasons. Great universities, I think, really help us. Our higher ed leaders here in the state are unsurpassed. They're incredible. Support from the government, which we alluded to a little bit before, or I did. It's not in every state where you have a government, the executive branch, the governor, the lieutenant governor, attorney general, the treasurer, the auditor, and the legislature together saying, come and innovate here. We want you to take those risks here. We want you to do it in the right way, follow the law, but we'll support you with incentives. We'll support you with programs. And most importantly, perhaps, we will try to stay out of your way. Government, we believe in Utah, should stay lean and out of the way of business. There's a role for government, and it's an important one. But in other states, government tends to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and they try to be the answer for everything. In Utah, we think the private sector really should be doing the heavy lifting. Government should be a catalyst that can help inspire, that can help guide and direct, but the private sector really needs to lean in. And we see that leaning in happening through things like B corporations and environmentally conscious leadership. And service and inclusion, and these types of programs are critical, and I think they've come together in Utah in a way that you have the best of all worlds. A quiet, clean, family-oriented society, which also has state-of-the-art, cutting-edge, best-in-class support, talent, investment. And the investment now is coming from all around the world. I remember when we were with our fund looking for partners, and it was hard to convince somebody to come in and invest in Utah.
Back
now,
10 years ago.
Yeah, this
Back
is
10 years
just
ago.
a few years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And again, the arc has been quite impressive. I've had the privilege to watch it from the regulatory side and keep an eye on it, make sure again that bad actors are taken care of. But for the most part, I mean, businesses don't want to cheat and steal. It's bad business. They want to do the right thing. Sometimes they need a reminder from regulators, and that's how it should be. Government should be working proactively to empower businesses instead of creating false barriers, instead of creating more, problems for business. And so, to me, when you ask why are there so many unicorns popping up, why the foundations have been built over generations, but you've seen this steady growth and then this explosive arc. And I think that, it'll continue to grow that way. Orders of magnitude within the next 10 years over where we were, say, 10 years ago when I was in that space. I'm proud of it. It's awesome. And people all the time, when I travel to other states or other countries, we were just talking, I just got back from London in the UK and Dublin in Ireland, and they were asking me, what's going on? We hear that Utah's taking the lead on so many things for a relatively small population state, just under 3.5 million people. It is really punching above its weight and leading out in a lot of ways. And I think I'm going to call the shot here. Utah may well be 10 years from now when we're doing a follow-up interview and you still look young and amazing and I'm even more, gray hair. We will be the blockchain capital of the world.
Okay.
In terms of not just the innovation and business side, but in terms of policy and thought and laws. And your people may not, they'll look at that and say, oh, that's beyond a moonshot. But I believe we have all the components that we need. And Utah is starting to be, and if I have my ways and other leaders in Utah, Utah will be a global crossroads, mark it down, global crossroads of commerce, culture, and coolness too, because we try to do everything, as you can see from the trappings around, with a little flair and coolness, not in arrogance, just in the Utah way, which is, again, build successful businesses so that you can not only bless your own families, but everybody else around you, your employees, those that have less. And I believe that beyond everything that I've already said, that little bit of magic, that so many of the businesses that we see here at Silicon Slopes have an emphasis and focus on social impact and bettering other people's lives, lessening suffering for humanity, helping save lives. That added bonus, if you will, is something else that really resonates and speaks to people around the world, and they want to be part of a business that isn't going to just be successful financially, but is going to change the world in very positive ways.
For sure, and there's definitely been a common theme throughout many of these sessions about diversity and inclusion in Utah,
Absolutely.
As well as environmental, social, and governance programs. And so I've really, it's been very cool to see how all these innovative companies are really being thorough about their approach to business. And it just really rings true to everything you're saying about the tech community here and where it's headed.
And diversity is a good example. I will be candid. Utah is not known for its diversity, and in the history of Utah, we have not been the most diverse or inclusive society. We're working on that. It's changing a lot. Again, if you haven't been out to Utah for the last 10 or 15 years, come back out now. It has an energy that is really exciting, and diversity is an integral part of that. So again, to put it in perspective, the good and the bad of it, I was the first person of color from any minority community elected to statewide office in the history of the state, and that was about 8 years ago. So that's frightening on some levels, but then on others you're saying, hey, but you have to start somewhere. And since that time, if you look at government at the federal, state, and local level, and if you look at businesses, the ones that are homegrown and the ones that are coming in, much more diverse. You're looking at funds. Yesterday I talked to 2 different groups that have funds specifically geared towards businesses from underserved communities. Because the reality is, when you come from circumstances like mine, I grew up in a tough neighborhood in Los Angeles from immigrant parents. Well, dad is from the Philippines, technically an immigrant. Mom's from Hawaii, which might as well be a different country. But when you're struggling and you're growing up, you don't have a lot of mentors from the country club or the tennis club to help you understand the opportunities that exist and help you change your horizon and say, oh yeah, I can be successful as a CEO. One day I'd like to have my own fund. You're just struggling to survive and make ends meet. And so when we have leaders who have made it and who are successful now turn their time to focus directly to those underserved communities and say, hey, you're a new startup business. Maybe some others have passed on you. Maybe you don't fit the typical profile. We want to take a chance. That's impactful, that's meaningful, and it's happening more than people realize in Utah. So if you want to think of Utah as, again, not diverse and not a great place to invest, your loss. I mean, people all around the world are realizing that this is one of the best opportunities in the U.S. And perhaps globally right now. So thank you for bringing up the diversity issue, because it's an important one to Silicon Slopes and the founders, and you'll see it in the way that they address social issues and that their workforces reflect that. And yeah, Utah has grown up a lot in the last little while, and I only see continued growth in that direction.
Okay, well, we have a date for 10 years from now, maybe less. Maybe we'll check in at 5. And we'll with an update on all the incredible businesses coming out of the state. We've certainly had some phenomenal IPOs and new listings out of
Nasdaq,
Utah.
Qualtrics was
Qualtrics
a recent one.
Recursion, we got some great ones.
Incursion.
Yes. So we're seeing a lot of great activity and
other slopes. And it was a few years ago, but Domo, and there's almost. Yeah, and there's a number of them. But you challenged me. What was for something? What were you gonna?
The challenge is we're gonna meet again.
Okay.
And with an update, and we're gonna do a look back and see where your predictions fall. I think we're probably gonna be spot on. The vibe here is tremendous. So
that's cool.
I appreciate
So
your time.
Commerce, culture, and coolness. We brought Kanye West out recently. He did a Sunday service out here. We've got Post Malone, who lives around the corner from me. Austin is amazing. I mean, we're bringing some coolness into the state of Utah. I tend to like rappers, but there's UFC fighters, the jazz organization with the new leadership, and Ryan Smith, a founder of Silicon Slopes, brought on Dwayne Wade as
saw him yesterday.
D Wade was here.
Right.
He's awesome. Again, there's a lot more flavor that's coming into the state. So, yeah, are you a rap fan?
I do like rap, but I understand you've got some talent there, and the rap, and you're a pretty good rapper.
Back in the day, I was Pineapple Crush.
You were known as Pineapple Crush.
That was my DJing and rapping moniker. Yes. Out of the valley. But yeah, I represent Utah now. Should we? You want to rap? You want to have a rap off? You want to go first?
I would leave that to you.
Liz, I'm putting you on the spot.
Maybe we should leave that in 5 years from now, and I'll start practicing now.
Okay. I'll do mine right now. Okay. You have 5 years to practice.
Perfect. All right, let's end on that.
And then you come back. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Ready? Okay.
Okay. This is about tech, right? So it goes something like this. I'm an innovating, devastating rhyming AG, repping 801 Utah SLC. Don't waste your time trying to battle me, cause I'll knock you out. You're Frazier, I'm Ali. Yes, Ali, aka Cassius Clay. You wanna take my title, best step away. Political pugilist, I don't play. You feeling lucky, punk? Come on and make my day, cause I can rope a dope, give you hope, take your best hits, and when I'm standing there smiling, you know I'm legit. You'll be punched out, tired, and ready to sit, and then I'll rain down blows till you beg me to quit. Round 1 of 15, it don't mean a thing. It's who's wearing the belt when we step out of the ring, so I'll overcome whatever you bring, cause I'm the undisputed heavyweight and pound for pound king.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Exactly.
I love it.
All right,
I
all
love
right.
it. Thank you so much for coming
Silicon
out.
Slopes.
So great to see
What's
you.
up?
We'll see you in 5 years, maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner.
I'll
Yeah,
work
we'll
on
go
my
back.
part.
All right.
I don't know.
Deal.
But okay.
Thanks, Liz.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody.